Greetings everyone, Gigas here, and in today's video I would like to cover the basics of playing Gigas. So this guide will have two parts, and in this first part we're gonna cover his punishers and the pros and cons of playing Gigas. But before we begin, I would like to say something very important, and that is that I'm super grateful and very blessed with the community on this channel because you guys are sending so much positivity and it means a lot because Gigas is literally the reason why I bought and started playing a Tekken game. This is very weird maybe, this might be the weirdest reason you ever heard, but because of one character I got so much into this game, and I'm so happy to help you guys out with Gigas to level up your own Gigas. It is a very cool character, but I have to be very honest as well. It's a character that will test a lot of patience and time. Maybe a weird opinion, but this is very true for me. It is very demotivating to lose a lot with this character. Get a little bit good with the character first, compared to other characters you could just pick up and play. Like one of the best examples is Katarina. But I have to be honest as well. Please keep trying and learn from your own mistakes first to help yourself grow, because that is something I denied first, to just call everyone cheap or cheesy, but don't do this. It's a very big mistake. You won't level up your own game if you do this. I've been hit with a lot of stupid shit, I gotta be very honest, but at the end you can just, as example, duck a string or punish accordingly. So it's not entirely the enemy's character's fault, it's also your own fault not learning certain matchups, mind games, so please lab that if it is needed. So with that said, let's begin with the pros and cons of playing Gigas. So some of these might be a little bit obvious, like the first one I'm about to say, but it's still worth mentioning. So the first one is his range. Let's use his jab as an example because it's a very effective tool and also easy one to use as an example. Here I can say that I will reach with a jab, which is not normal if we're talking about range on a jab. Compared to Hayachi's jab, that is what I mean with his normal neutral game range. It is exceptional if you compare it to other characters. Another example I can give is 4-4-2 if we're talking about range. This is the proper distance to use 4-4-2, which is a lot. I can even go a little bit further here. As you can see, Gigas has great range on a couple of his key moves. The second pro I'd like to discuss is his punishment, which in my opinion is very effective. It's easy to use, allowing you to focus more on your punishment game, which is very important in Tekken, which is very important for Gigas. But more on this later because we have a whole segment to cover all kinds of punishers, from standing to while standing, so more on this later. So the third pro will be covering his forgiving low execution for high damage combos. And if you ever tried Lee, for example, you already know what I mean. For crazy wall carry and damage with Lee, you have to learn very technical combos with multiple cancels and so while standing moves. With Gigas, however, you can reach crazy numbers and very solid wall carry with, in my opinion, pretty easy execution. So let's take a couple examples over here. So we're gonna try Lee's combos, like a basic combo, no cancels and all, and then his optimal combo with the cancels, etc. So as you can see, I did a very basic, not difficult combo with Lee, and I only pulled off 46 damage, which is not that much at all, without a wall of course. And now as an example, I did a very technical combo if you compare it with the other combo, with insta while standings, multiple back 2 cancels, and only pulled off 66 damage, which is also not that great. So let's compare that with Gigas' very easy execution and his damage. So now we're gonna do a very easy and basic combo with Gigas. So that already is way more than the basic combo we did with Lee. And if we're gonna extend this a little bit with a couple of moves extra, we can reach better numbers. With 69 nice damage without a wall. So another pro I would like to cover is the combos. Yeah, as mentioned before, His combos in generals are high damaging, and you don't have to pull off an electric or stuff like that. No, it's pretty low execution for very high reward. So as you can see here, I have a 30 frame counter hit launcher as an example. Even if I'm correct, 99 with the wall, if we have a wall stage. Moving on to the next pro is his pressure potential, with moves like back 2, forward 4, forward 3 2 while running 2, back 1 plus 2, his jabs, and delayable string. And also solid plus frames on hit, you can create very specific and very scary positions for the opponents to be in. So let me explain what I mean with specific positions, because there's not a single character that puts you in the specific position like a back plus 2 on block. So that is a very scary position to be in, because it's almost a free 50-50 for you as a Gigas player. And to clarify what I mean with an almost free 50-50 if we're talking about the back 2, is that some characters can parry both options, like Jin, Leroy, and Geese. And some other characters can punch parry the mid option. Asuka as example, Brian, Armor King, Paul, and even more. But that's also something, this might sound weird, but something very good for Gigas, as he can delay both options for even more damage. So you can throw off their guard or throw off the timing, the parry timing, and that will give you even better rewards, because first of all you do more damage, and second of all you can create multiple mind games for the next situation to put them in. If you're gonna do a back 2 again, am I gonna delay it? Am I not gonna delay it? So that's what I mean with Gigas can put you in very tough situations. The next pro is character uniqueness. Yeah, that might be a very weird one, but as Gigas is very rare to encounter, most of the time the opponent does not know how to guard versus Gigas, because it is very rare to fight a Gigas. This does not mean that you can just do stupid things and go off easily with Gigas. Please try to play without a flowchart, because it's not good to do. It will kill your solid game plans you're trying to make. And maybe your weird gimmick flowchart will work in lower rank or, newer enemies or opponents, but you will notice that will be very tough to maintain that flowchart in higher rank. So I would strongly advise you to try to level up legitimately instead of being reliant on a flowchart. The last pro I would like to cover is his unique parry reversal power crush, down 3+4. It is one of the most overlooked tools with great reward when mastered. Gigas could make opponents second guess a lot with his power crush and punish almost any matchup hard. What I mean is running attacks, plus on block attacks with a lot of recovery on them, but we will cover this more later on. Horrible movement. This one is very important to cover, because movement is very, very important in Tekken, covering space and creating wave punishers. But let's talk about his movement. Backdashing, for sure it's possible with him, but one, it already requires pretty tough execution to Korean backdash consistently, and two, the reward with Gigas and backdashing is almost nothing, because he covers zero space at all. Sure, it is possible, again, it is possible, but if you compare it to other characters like Miguel, very good backdash. Kazumi, super good backdash. And even just your generic lead backdash, or Lars even, Gigas is not even comparable. And this is only covering his backdash. We can also talk about his sidestepping, sidewalking, and that is something that hurts a lot, because some character specific matchup you have to sidestep some certain strings. Gigas is not allowed to do that. Some strings with Anna as example, you can sidestep the last hit. Well, that is something you can't with Gigas. So this is one of the biggest cons. Also, a very big con is that he does not have a very effective 50-50 out of his stances or grabs, which you have to expect of such a big character, that he might have a 50-50 on one of his grabs. But he only has one 1+2 grab, which is half circle back forward 1+2. It does crazy good damage, that's for sure, even better damage if there's a wall nearby, but there's not a big reason to guess another grab versus Gigas, because the only grab that does considerable amount of damage is his 1+2 grab. This also applies to his stances, or his stance, his only stance, that has two mids, one knocks down and one launches, and his grab out of his stance. So there's not a big reason to duck against Gigas in his stance. It can also be very difficult to open up a defensive opponent, because you don't have any threatening low, except for maybe down back 2, which is +3 on hit, and yeah, in my opinion, pretty slow. It's reactable for me. And his other lows, like down 3, down back 4, and down back 3, are minus on hit, and down 3 is -1, down back 4 is -3, and down back 3 is -4. This means that the opponent can just press a panic button or a magic 4 if you try to continue your pressure, and you will get launched, or you will get counter hitted or something in that nature. So you really have to be creative placing your tools on the right moment to open up a good defensive opponent, because you miss a real 50-50 situation with Gigas. As explained, he has only one command grab, and that also means that your opponent only have to break 1+2, and he has 0 tools that forces the defensive opponent out of their defensive nature. This means that it can be very, very tough to open up an opponent. Gigas also has 0 panic buttons or evasive properties on his moves. The only one that he really has is down back 2 that crushes high, and same goes for down back 4. But that is not enough to let Gigas evade pressure like other characters. As mentioned before, his movement as well is really bad, so that means that you can be put in a lot of very annoying situations that you just have to stand there and block everything. And like I said already, Gigas requires a very cool head and serious amount of patience to play, and this really stresses out what I mean with it, because again, you don't have a panic button, you don't have a go-to, oh shit, I'm in trouble now, let's do this, to avoid a lot of situations with this character. So that is also something that's quite hard to overcome with Gigas. Moving on to the last con, and in my opinion one of the worst, tied with his bad movement, is his moves on block. And what I mean with moves on block is they're mostly -6 or even -9, which means your turn is over and you have to face the fact that the opponent can pressure you back right now at that same moment, because you can't sidestep because your sidestep sucks. You can dash away, backdash to create space because your backdash sucks. And yes, there are a couple of moves that are -3 or even -2, but they're either high, so they're duckable and launch punishable even, or they're very slow on startup, like up for 3, which is -3 on block, which is great on paper, but again, it's very slow on startup. And some of his moves, like your strings forward 2, 1, 1, are even unsafe. They're -11 or -12, depending on range. And things like down for 2, 1 are also -13 on block. And those are your go-to moves if you want to do something very effective.
like a knockdown or a wall splat or a unique knockdown with a 4-2-1-1, but you have to put yourself in a risk first because it's minus 11 if we're talking about 4-2-1-1. Down for 2-1, also a great example because I use this move a lot. Down for 2 on its own is minus 7. Okay, I get it because it has an extension with 1, and if you're trying to contest the down for 2 on its own, you will get hit by the 1 with a wall splat or a knockdown, which is great. And also it is very delayable, so you can kinda hit confirm it. My only cue I have is if I hear the other characters do something, like Hayachi, I randomly hear Hayachi, okay, then I know I can do I can do down for 2 and into 1 because he did something stupid. This is a counter hit. But at moments, I'm not even sure if it is a counter hit because the hit animation is literally the same. So that's why the risk on Gigas' strings on block is something else. Gigas has some of the most effective and easy to use punishers. For standing, you have your 10 frame and your 15 frame. Why there's no mention for 11, 12, 13 and 14? Because your 10 frame is your 11, 12, 13 and 14 frame punisher. Be careful though, as it is super unsafe at minus 17, so don't use this move as just a random move. And for your 50 frames you have your down 2 with amazing range and decent damage. Moving on to his while standing punishers. At 11 you have while standing 1, and with plus 5 on hit it allows very good follow-ups like down forward 1 to check the opponent, forward 1 plus 2 for counter damage, or even down for 2-1 and even more. At 30 frames for your while standing punishers you have 4-2. It does a chunk of damage, it also gives you very good Oki. And on a ground breaking stage, this actually will ground break. So in other words, you do have a 30 frame while standing launcher on Forgotten Realm as example. Gigas unfortunately lacks a generic 15 or 60 frame launch punisher out of while standing options. The only thing at 50 frame you have is while standing 2-3. It gives you solid knockdown, and it does chunky damage, and also gives a wall splat if you're close to a wall. The only launcher you have with Gigas is at 18 frame with a while standing 3. It is minus 13 on block with decent range. Please be on the lookout for the second part of this guide. I will be covering his key moves, a couple of basic combos to get you started, and also, last but not least, his game plan in the neutral, which is very important, and also where he excels, which is his wall pressure. If you still have any questions, please go ahead, feel free and ask away in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it, I hope you learned something, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye bye!